I'm Sam Rustom, and I'm the Technical Service Manager for FMC covering the states of Texas and New Mexico. Now I'm down here in South Texas, just outside of Corpus Christi, and wanted to share with y'all my thoughts on cotton defoliation. Now cotton defoliation can be one of those touchier subjects, you know, due to all the different products and combinations of products and environmental conditions. It seems like everybody's got their own cocktail and everybody, you know, has something that they're doing just a little bit different. But today I wanted to share with y'all my thoughts on what you can do to get the most out of AMEC herbicide in your defoliation program. Now typically there are two different types of defoliants that are used in cotton production. That's herbicidal and hormonal. Now they both trigger ethylene production, but they act in different ways. Now if you're unfamiliar with ethylene, that's the plant hormone that's responsible for the formation of an abscission layer down at the base of the petiole, which ultimately leads to leaf drop. Now your hormonal defoliants are going to trigger more ethylene synthesis, ethylene production in the plant, and your herbicidals will actually enter the plant up front, which triggers the production of ethylene, which ultimately leads to that abscission layer forming. Now AMEC is a PPO inhibiting herbicide. It's a contact herbicide, and it's a herbicidal defoliant. Now in my years as a weed scientist, I've never seen a PPO herbicide get promoted without the very next sentence promoting adequate spray coverage, and that's going to be the same story for defoliation. So with that, your minimum spray volume by air is going to be 5 gallons per acre and 10 gallons per acre by ground. Now when talking defoliation rates with AMEC, there's an important window within the labeled rate range that I like to consider the sweet spot for optimal performance. Now the reason I say this is because obviously rates that are too low won't perform as well as rates that are in the sweet spot. However, rates that are above that sweet spot, when rates start getting a little bit higher, you tend to burn more leaves, which can lead to decreased ethylene production and ultimately leaf sticking. Now the sweet spot can obviously change, and that's largely based on tank mix partner. So for example, with AIM applied alone, sequentially, or with a bowl opener like Ethifon, that rate range should be about 0.75 to 1 ounce. One common method I hear about is what's called the 1+1+1 method, which essentially is an ounce of AIM per acre, a quart of regular enhanced Ethifon per acre, and a 1% crop oil concentrate. Now when you start talking about three-way mixtures or mixing AIM with other defoliants, like hormonal defoliants like didaziron, for example, you want to drop that rate down to about ½ an ounce per acre. And what that's going to do is going to prevent leaf sticking. It's going to speed up the other products. You'll see a lot of AIM to it, and you'll also see improved terminal activity on the terminal leaves. Now timing means almost everything when it comes to cotton defoliation. Now the optimal time to apply AIM, as with other products, is when 60 to 70% of your bolls are open. Another timing to consider is the time of year in which these applications are going to occur, because obviously earlier in the year with warmer temperatures, possibly increased soil moisture or whatever it may be, you can see that increase in terminal and basal regrowth. Now this regrowth can be more difficult to control because it doesn't form an abscission layer like the older, more mature leaves do. However, our research has shown that AIM is an excellent candidate for follow-up applications because it does a really good job at desiccating basal, terminal regrowth, as well as the older or more mature leaves that may have been missed by the initial application. Now temperature can also impact which adjuvant you use when you use AMEC as a defoliant. So for example, when daily highs are above 90 and the lows are above 70, you want to use an NIS or a non-ionic surfactant at 0.25% volume per volume. And when things get cooler, maybe later on in the year, say when the highs are below 80 and the lows are below 60, you want to use the high quality crop oil concentrate at 1% volume per volume. Now any scenario where these temperatures may overlap, either one of these surfactants will work just fine. Now another thing relative to temperature is later on in the growing season, you know, as things cool off, you hear about other products that don't work as well when things cool off. However, our research has shown time and time again that as those temperatures decrease later on in the growing season, that AMEC activity as a defoliant remains unaffected. Now as a weed scientist, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the herbicidal benefits of using AMEC in the defoliation program, because after all, it is a PPO inhibiting herbicide. Now I've traveled from Lubbock or between Lubbock and Amarillo all the way down to the valley, down in the Rio Grande Valley this week. And there's one constant that remains the same in most of the cotton fields I pass, and that's pigweed pressure. Now, MEC has really good activity on pigweeds. It's used in a herbicide in many different situations. However, you know, it will serve as a really good desiccant and really help improve harvest efficiency wherever you have pigweeds present. You know, in addition to pigweeds, we also have activity on a bunch of different broadleaf weeds, you know, including vines like morning glories. So I'd encourage you to consider AIM in a defoliation program where you may have weeds present that need to be desiccated or dried down to improve your harvest efficiency. Now, with that being said, I'd like to thank you for tuning in, and I wish you the best of luck as we enter the home stretch of the cotton growing season.